Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome home again. Here we are in Yonkers in Westchester County, New York, and we're building a house with Habitat for Humanity. Today we're actually putting together the sidewalls and the roof system. It's a SIP system, Structural Insulated Panels. All the insulation and the siding is contained in one unit. We're also taking you on a tour of the plant where they're manufactured out in the state of Washington. And I'll get together with our plumber and look at a very interesting heat transfer system, a coil that goes around the waste pipe. Stick around, it's good to have you home again.
Sears presents Bob Vila's Home Again.
In real time, we're just starting day one of our Habitat for Humanity Blitz Build. Everyone is eager to get going. The foundation is in and the first floor deck is on. The crew of volunteers has everything ready to start raising the first floor walls.
Now let's win, guys. Ready? Yonkers, give us an okay.
Go!
We're going.
Push down.
Keep it going, nice and easy, guys. Don't get in too big a hurry. Nice and easy. Nice and easy.
The goal for day one is to end with the roof panels in place. That's a tall order. So today we're really going to see what they mean by a blitz build. The walls are being constructed from structurally insulated panels, or SIPs. The individual panels are lifted in place and fit snugly over the sill plate.
Right on. Beautiful. I need 2 2x up on the deck and somebody to help them on the sticks to extend them. Right over here.
Steve Thompson from Premier Wall Systems is in charge of the crew assembling the frame for this
They
house.
can come my way if they want to, but it's not imperative. More. Okay. Yep. Beautiful, guys.
The first wall section will take the most time because it must be braced and plumbed before the next panels can be attached.
Is that where you want it level?
A little bit back.
Okay.
The crew is able to work so quickly because the SIPS panels and many of the other materials are pre-assembled to the architect's specifications in a factory off-site and delivered ready to go. Also, the interior wall framing sections have been pre-constructed on-site. Much of what we're doing here is like assembling a giant three-dimensional puzzle.
Right here, grab that, put your foot on that. Yeah. Hold on. On the bottom, I need you on the bottom. Kick it out. Okay, push it in. Okay, now put in that bracket. Carry it towards you here. Grab the bottom. There you go. Okay, I'll grab it. Okay. Get this right here, lift it up on.
Well, last week we were watching how we excavated a hole and we put together basically what is a prefab foundation from Superior Wall Systems. It's essentially precast concrete panels that are glued and bolted together and they form the foundation. Then we put the first floor deck on it. Jim Tracy from Premier Building Systems is here, and basically what we're looking at is a SIPS system, structurally insulated panels, right?
Right.
And it's not a brand new technology. It's been around for a while, right?
Right. Premier, as a matter of fact, has been doing these for 30 years.
Yeah. And we've got a sandwich of rigid insulation that on the outside has the oriented strand board that we're looking at behind us here, which is the sheathing. And on the inside is also providing that kind of a backup for the drywall, right?
It's the expanded polystyrene tied together with the oriented strand board that actually acts as the structure. Framing, insulation, vapor barrier, sheathing.
Exactly, all in one package. And this is a system that's basically approved by building inspection services throughout the country,
All
right?
major model building codes across the U.S. have approved this, as well as most every local building code.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Well, this is what we call a blitz build. And in fact, it's all coming together since everything's been pre-manufactured and even in the interior systems have kind of been put together ahead of time for this Habitat project. It's coming together within an hour now.
That's correct.
It's fabulous. As the last of the exterior wall sections go up, other trades get started on the first floor. The rough plumbing for the bathroom is underway. The electricians will get to work as soon as the second floor deck is on. Thorough coordination, a lot of planning, and an enthusiastic crew of volunteers is really getting this house off the ground. The pre-assembled interior wall framing and a lot of extra hands really make quick work of the wall separating the kitchen and dining area. It's a little over an hour into the morning's work, and the first floor framing is just about finished. Next, Steve Thompson shows us how they make SIPS panels at Premier Building Systems in Fife, Washington. I'm in Fife, Washington, not far from Seattle and Mount Rainier. When Steve Thompson isn't traveling around the country assembling houses, he's the general manager here at the Premier Building Systems plant. He's going to show us what's involved in manufacturing the SIPS panels that we're using back in Yonkers. So Steve, basically there are three ingredients that go into the SIPS panels, right? The oriented strand board.
They call that OSP, Bob.
And then the expanded polystyrene.
And then that'd be EPS.
And then glue.
Right.
Okay. So what's happening here at this stage?
Well, what we're doing is taking the process and cutting wiring chases and cutting openings in the panels.
Just randomly? I mean, how do they know what they're going to do?
Well, they have a plan they follow, and these are roof panels. So as you can see here, we're working on roof A, and they're taking and actually deciding where wiring chases are going to go.
Okay. And look at what he's doing here. Then he's got a heated up wire that runs through the whole length of this big piece of polystyrene. Now, what kind of a tool is that?
We call that a hot wire. It's a nichrome wire and nickel-plated wire.
Yeah.
It heats up, and it's actually cutting the foam, and they have to be really precise in doing that together to get that round hole.
And that round hole eventually will allow you to put electrical wires through the whole section of the roof.
Right, right. So there'll be every 4 foot in this roof system, so you can virtually wire it anywhere you want to go in that roof system.
Now, why is he making a cut on the end like that?
Now that's the length of the panel, or width of the panel. So they'll be able to take now, and we'll see later on the lamination.
So each one of these things weighs about maybe what, 20 pounds, 30 pounds?
Probably around 30 to 40 pounds.
And what's the R factor involved in this?
This roof system is going to be an R45, and the Yonkers project we had 30, 7¼ inches. This is an 11¼
Okay.
And it's for Alaska. It's a colder climate.
So that's why the increased thickness.
Right.
And you said these are all going to be roof panels.
Right.
Boy, that's an amazing little tool. Now, did you guys invent this?
Well, EPS has been around for a lot of years, and this tool's been around with it for probably over 35, 40 years.
Uh-huh.
And this is one of the methods of cutting it.
Okay, so once you've got them cut and each piece is ready to go, what's the next step?
Well, we're going to go to lamination.
Okay. All right, Steve, so what we have here is basically gluing up some big stuff.
Yeah, we're setting the EPS here, and starting to get it go through the roll coater here, and we're going to actually push this adhesive into the foam.
That was so quick, it's unbelievable. So this machine essentially rolled the glue onto both sides of the polystyrene.
Right, the EPS.
And you already had laid down one sheet of the oriented strand board, the OSB.
So we have one more sheet to go on top, and that'll finish up our panel.
Right. So why is he adding more with the roller? Is there some areas that got mixed?
Sometimes there may be some divots in the foam
and
other things. It just makes sure we have a quality product going out.
All right. Now, what kind of glue is it?
It's a 2-part water-based latex adhesive. And it's a long-term adhesive. It's been tested for accelerated aging. And it's something that's backed by 2 major companies.
Is it something that has a very short grace period that dries up right away?
We have about a 30-minute open time from when we start the first panel through to when we have to get it into the press.
So the press has actually made it penetrate into the polystyrene by about, what, a 1/16 of an inch or so?
Well, right around 1,000 pounds per square foot, and it's going to penetrate it in about a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch, and we can see that in some other testing.
All right, so now you have basically 3 panels stacked together. What's the next step?
We're going to lay another piece of OSB down here on the bed, and then we'll run another piece of EPS and just continue these sandwiches going all the way up till we're ready to push it through the press.
All right, so now you've got a half a dozen of these big guys all assembled there. What's the next step here?
Well, this is going to roll into the press. It's going to sit in the press for about an hour with right around 1,000 pounds per square foot pushing down on it. And that'll lead us into the next area where we go to fabricating.
So there's no heat involved, and there it goes.
No, it's a pressure laminated process.
Now, what would you call that machine?
That's a hogger. We call that a foam hogger.
It basically is kind of routing out almost about, what, 1.5 inches of space here.
Right, it's 1.5 inch recess. It's for dimensional lumber.
And that's what they're doing in here.
Right.
This piece would be almost a gable end with a door running through it. And so you have to add the dimensional lumber in there in order to have something to nail on.
Right,
For
and
installing
it
a door.
also finishes off our system.
Right. Now, do you have to also put a bottom plate here and a top plate here on each of the sections?
Right, the bottom plate will be put on in job site, and this will sit right down on top of it.
Okay.
And we saw that in Yonkers. We're doing that.
Right, but you're not using pressure-treated lumber.
No.
Okay. And then how do the spline business, how does that work?
Well, we have a sample set up over here.
Oh, yeah. All right, so here's a little mock-up.
Yeah. So this is just to give you an idea how they go together. And this is the recesses we did in the foam room we saw. And this is the wiring chase.
Right.
And so this is going to sit together like that, and we're just going to push it through.
Excellent.
So you can see you have some foam sealant you put here before you put it together.
So how do you test the SIPS panels for strength?
We have a tensile tester that's hydraulic that'll pull the panel apart to make sure that glue bond is secure and solid for our manual and make sure we pass our tests.
But I hear there's another more dramatic test.
We do. We have a great thing to show you outside. Bob, what we have here is 5,700 pounds of red home bricks coming and putting on top of our premier panel.
That's almost 3 tons of bricks you're putting on there, and I could see just a little bit of deflection.
Right.
But that's a pretty dramatic way of demonstrating the strength of these panels.
Yeah, it shows the strengths that they are viable for your home.
Yeah, well, thanks for the tour, Steve.
Thank you, Bob.
In a moment, we'll be back in Yonkers ready to crane up the sections of the second floor deck. We're back at our Yonkers, New York Blitz Build, and work is moving along very quickly. The crane is just starting to lift the first of the pre-assembled floor sections that'll become the second floor deck. The crew helps the crane operator guide the floor section into position. The first floor is a beehive of activity as carpenters nail the wall sections and framing together. Steve Thompson from Premier Wall Systems directs the crew placing the first floor section. The floor sections are constructed using I-joists, which are engineered for strength and stability. They're great for building a house like this because they allow flexibility for very open floor plans. The pre-construction of the floor panels in a factory means that this floor will be in place in no time. Here comes the next section of the pre-assembled floor now. With 2 sections of the floor down, we can get a sense of the ceiling span in what will eventually become the living dining room area. At the front of the house, the carpenters lift a laminated beam into position to support the second floor in what will become the staircase and front closet. The Blitz Build also means that while the carpenters are at work on the second floor deck, the plumbers are at work in the basement. Let's check in on the installation of the boiler. All right, well, down in the basement, we want to check in with John Fushillo, our plumbing contractor. And John, let me interrupt you. Hi, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. This is something I wanted to look at closely because this is a pretty unusual feature that we're putting in the house. And it's simple, but it is new technology. What do you call it?
It's a wastewater heat recovery unit. It utilizes the wastewater from, say, the showers or the kitchen sink, the dishwasher. All the water that's going down the drain, it clings to the wall of the drain pipe, transferring the wasted heat that would actually go out to the city sewer.
It's so simple, it's hard to fathom somehow, but every time you take a shower, you're enjoying all that nice hot water, and of course it's all going down the drain. It's still hot.
Exactly.
But it's now wastewater.
And we're trying to recover some of that.
Exactly. So instead of letting it go directly into the sewer, you've got, well, behind this coil is copper pipe, right?
Yes, it is. The interior, this piece here, is a copper extending throughout the whole coil.
Yeah.
The exterior is the water supply piping that would be coming into the residence.
So all of the wastewater from the whole house is coming out through here.
Yes, it is.
And then under the slab going into the sewer.
Out to the street, yes. And it should recover, I would say, basically 10 to 15 degrees. And instead of throwing that out, we take it back.
So that instead of feeding the water heater, which is right down here behind you, the cold water that comes in from the street.
It comes in about 40 degrees. It should bring it up to, I would say, 50, 55 degrees.
Yeah.
Which instead of using the extra energy to heat that, we would be using the wastewater to preheat it.
Right. I hear the technology was actually, or is being developed, or was invented by a gentleman who is a scientist, but his wife runs a beauty parlor out in Long Island.
Yes,
and
it
of
is.
course they do a lot of shampooing and stuff, so they were wasting a lot of hot water, and this is one way that they've figured out how to recover some of that heat.
Exactly.
Any idea about the cost of it?
It costs about $175.
Yeah.
And the efficiency, what it recovers from the wastewater, it should pay for itself in no time.
Right. And then, of course, what we're doing is adding that 10 degrees to the water and feeding it into our horizontal water heater from Buderas down there.
Exactly, Buderas.
Right.
It's a nice system.
Okay. Well, John, I'll let you get back to work.
Great.
We're
Thank
going to
you
go
very much.
upstairs and check in on the second floor deck. We're back outside, and the third of our pre-assembled floor sections is being guided into position. You can really see how the I-joists allow this floor section to span the entire width of the house without any additional support from other framing members. And the speed with which we're able to enclose the first floor means that the building materials will spend very little time exposed to the weather. Well, Jim, I gotta hand it to you. It sure does look like a house now. Good job.
Well, the electrician, the plumber, chomping to get in there and get the rough end started. And
I guess that's what's next.
Yeah, they got about 3 or 4 hours to get it going.
But I really like those beams. I guess we'll take a closer look at them next week. I'll go join them.
Okay, thanks a lot.
We'll be back in a moment with a progress report on our Blitz Build, so don't go away. Well, the crane is just lifting the last second floor deck section at our Yonkers Blitz Build. In real time, we still have a long way to go on our first day before we get the roof on. It's amazing that just a few hours ago we started with the first floor deck. Then we raised the walls for the first floor and lifted most of the second floor deck into place. Not bad for a half day's work. But we're out of time. Come home again next time when we continue the Blitz Build. We'll finish the second floor deck and we'll visit the factory where the floor I-joists are manufactured. Also, we'll raise the second floor walls, crane the 850-pound roof beam onto the gable ends, and attach the roof panels. It's all in a day's work. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's good to have you home again. For lots of information and resources for your home improvement project, check out my website at bobvila.com.